why do you think people are fleeing blue states for conservative areas?
Well, first and foremost, because they can't afford to live there, right? I mean, I'm here in Colorado, blue state, man. You know, there's a whole text book on how the blue folks took control of Colorado, right? And today, Palantir, one of the largest employers and high-tech companies in Colorado, they got the heck out of Dodge. I think they've gone to Florida now or Texas, somewhere like that.
Yeah,
right?
I believe so. That sounds about right.
Friends
Their
of
stock had been booming too over the past like 2 years, just skyrocketing.
And they're gone. Like the oil companies, oil and gas is real big here, was real big here in Colorado. But what's happening? We're chasing them out with our emissions rules. I think they say that they want to be fossil free by 2035 or something like that. Well, anybody that knows anything about fossil fuel is that dang near everything in our world is made using fossil plastics. That's fossil fuels, right? If you get rid of fossil fuels, where are you going to get the plastics from? Well, I guess antiques. You have antique plastics, right? That you can buy. But anything that's plastic, it will go up in skyrocket in price because now the fossil fuel isn't as cheap as it used to be. Nuclear energy is something that, we really should be embracing. If you take a look at China today has 65 operational nuclear power plants, right? With 35 being built. And here in Colorado, the best that we can do is the federal government at one of the bases here just says they're going to put in a micro nuclear reactor. And the people in Colorado, the government, the progressive government, they treat they treat nuclear energy like it's like you're creating a nuclear bomb to blow everybody up with, which is not the case, right? We're so far behind. I wrote an op-ed about how Germany has finally realized that their adoption of all of the green energy stuff was a total and massive failure, and they're experiencing brownouts and blackouts. But yet here in Colorado, we're still moving full steam ahead.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. So what I would say is that people are leaving because the progressive policies that are being forced down people's throats in these blue states ultimately are making the states unlivable, just unlivable, unbearable. Crime's up. Why? Because of progressive policies. Right? Everything that's wrong in the state is a result of progressive policies.
I'm one of those people that fled a blue state. So I was one of them for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned. The crime is through the roof. The cost of living is through the roof. There's a lot of companies that have decided to leave. And that's the big thing. Once the businesses leave, the people that actually work or that want to work for a living, they tend to follow, if not on par, shortly afterwards.
Yeah, how is a state supposed to survive with no businesses? Yet blue states are notoriously anti-business. Right, they're anti-business. But I help you, and you can't tax people if they don't have any income.
Exactly.
Right, but they're increasingly fighting for higher taxes, and then the only people left to pay taxes are the ones that haven't been paying taxes in the first place. How does that work? Make that, as my wife likes to say, make that math. It just doesn't, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. And with very little to show for it, they raise all these taxes. You're like, well, where's the money going?
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at all the taxes, how taxes are in California. People are fleeing that state like nothing else, right? You look at New York City, same thing. People are fleeing it. And yet you have progressives still going around saying, hey, how about that Mondami? Isn't he doing a great job? I was in a meeting actually in DC this past week where one of the guys says, yeah, I'm really happy about all the stuff that Mondami's doing. And both my wife and I turned around and looked at him like, what the heck is this guy talking about? Right. And the next time I see him, I want to talk to him. But can you tell me what Mandami has done that anybody can brag about that has made anything better? Spending $30 million on a grocery store for free groceries to be handed out to people.
What's the likelihood in your opinion, from a percentage standpoint, that he opens up the other 4 that he said he was going to open up?
I don't even think he's going to open up the first one, right? Because it's not supposed to be open for another 3 years, right?
Yeah, something along those lines. And they're already at 30 million right now.
Right, 30 million, right? That 30 million will probably blossom to 100 million, and right at the 3rd year, the 4th year, well, he's up for election. And by then, I'm hoping that the people will have realized that he doesn't know what the heck he's doing, and he won't be elected again. And so, yeah, it'll just be a whole waste. It was something that he asserted that never came to be. Another example of how progressives operate.
No, absolutely. The thing is that this has been tried already in this country, and it hasn't worked. They tried the free grocery stores in Kansas City.
Yeah.
We did it, man. We did. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but before it closed, because it eventually just closed.
Okay.
But somebody went and did an investigative report. We covered it on the show.
Okay.
It was a free grocery store, but there was nothing in it. The shelves were empty. The produce, there was no produce. I mean, it was empty.
That's what a free store looks like. Empty.
Exactly.
This is
like, I mean, these ideas, I guess in theory, it sounds good. Yeah, free stuff for everybody. But I'm like, there's nothing free. Somebody has to pay for it.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Like, if you are a scientist, you know that a hypothesis, right, a theory, you go through, right, and you prove them and stuff like that, right? These aren't theories. They're wild assertions, wild unsubstantiated assertions. I wouldn't even give them the luxury of even being called a theory. It's just the crazy accusations is what they are, right? And what is even more crazy is that people like buy into it, right? Yeah. That's the craziest part.
It is. Do you think Americans, with, the way the media is, in this day and age, do you think Americans are starting to wake up to that media manipulation?
Well, I think so. I think one of the coolest things that I'm seeing is almost a revival in youth turning to God and going to church, right, and showing up. That's great. I think you see more people that look like you and I awakening and understanding that the Democratic Party, it stands for nothing of good other than to say that they're for you, like the black guy, all right? But they absolutely, in all these years, have produced absolutely nothing. I think you showed on the show the other day, Malcolm X, right? Talking about how poorly the Democratic Party has performed in terms of delivering anything of value to the black community. Yet you have people that are still like really stuck on not the results, but just the words, right? That people will pretend to like be for you, but ultimately do nothing for you. Yeah. It's almost like an abusive marriage. You know what I'm saying? It's like your wife's beating you and she's telling you that she loved you, but all of her actions and the things that she does, the black eyes that you got and everything else, just, but somehow you still believe that, yeah, she really does love me though. That's sort of like the relationship the black community has with the Democratic Party.
No, you're absolutely right there. Brother Malcolm was absolutely right way back when. Yeah. You put majority of your weight behind a party, they get into office, and then they put everything else first and before you, and then they put you last if they even come to you.
And that's the thing that my advice to people would be, at the very least, be unaffiliated, right? And hold both parties accountable for delivering the things that are important to you and your family, okay, and to the community. That's the very least. If your first or go-to is being a part of a party, no. Now, Stephanie and I, when it became time for us to, well, Stephanie, she'll say like, been a Republican ever since Jimmy Carter, okay? and it was the debacle in Iran, right? That very thing that said she was out of there, okay? For me, I was always more of an independent, but I actually voted mostly for Republicans. And the only time I voted for a Democrat was Bill Clinton, his second time around, because I just thought naively that, oh, gee, you can't really get anything done in just 4 years. So let's give the guy another 4 years. Then Donald Trump, of course, comes, is elected, and he blows that whole can't do anything in 4 years totally out of the water, right? Because he did more in 4 years than the last 4 presidents all combined did in the total time that they had. And so, I think it's real critical for people to engage in the process. As I said before in the book, I make a special point of pointing out a number of different ways people can get involved locally. And it's really at that local level that is most important for you to get engaged, because that's where progressives have always known this. They've captured city councils, state houses, school boards, and all the like. And from that vantage point, they continue to corrupt our government and our educational systems and everything. And so we've got to get back engaged and get people off the couch and off out of that whole, I'm checking out, the whole world's going to poop. Right? That whole position. And we got to get engaged and we can take it back, right? We can make it make more sense. But we can't do that if we're not engaged.
No, I'm in agreement with you 100%. That's something that we discuss, on this platform a lot. And, even for me, although I would consider myself a conservative, my goal here isn't to push you one way or another. My goal is, with hopes, what you just said, go independent, take the time to do your own due diligence and research. And if you are supporting a party, a candidate, for whatever reason, at least know why you're supporting them.
Yeah.
And that's been the biggest thing for me. As much as I, my disdain for the Democrat Party, the people that I know that are Democrats, even here, we have those that they do watch the channel. I always tell them, I'm like, hey, take the time to do your research. And if you still want to support the Democrat Party because you align, with their policy and their agenda, God bless you.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to disagree with you, but at least you know why you're supporting it.
Exactly. And that doesn't mean that I won't continue to maybe engage with you and show you the error in your ways, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But you can't just, you've got to be someone who studies the subject enough to understand the principles involved, right? And then from there, choose who you're going to vote with and who you're going to vote on the side of. And if you think the way that things should work is you should just be sitting there like a little bird waiting for his mom to drop a worm in his mouth to tell it what to eat and what to do, that's not the way politics is supposed to work, right? We're supposed to be responsible citizens holding people accountable for getting the right things done. And so when people talk about things like, and I see this all the time, and we see this as well, is that people think that, people are Republicans because Donald Trump has them hypnotized and mesmerized. That's not why the vast majority of people vote for Donald Trump. They vote for Donald Trump because finally someone came along that actually championed the things that they actually believe in, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. And there's nothing that the Democratic Party advocates today, nothing that they advocate that I support, nothing. And so that's why it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. It has to do with policy, principle, right? The principle, I believe in all people are created equal. I believe that God created us and give us children to have a rich and fruitful life, to go through that journey of life. I don't believe that we should have the power, except under law, where someone has broken a law to the extent that that law says for that particular thing that you've done, you should be put to death. That's okay, right? But just innocent babies being put to death, no. I don't agree with that. So it's about policy. We got to understand policy and be able to debate policy and be able to defend, right? If I stand for a certain policy, I should be able to stand up and defend that on principle. And
Absolutely.
If you can't do that, then you should really rethink where you are on any particular issue.
No, I'm in agreement with you there. What do you say when people say, especially, people that look like you and I, but the Republicans are racist, but Trump is racist. Why would you support them?
Well, and what I do is probably what you do. I say, well, exactly where is the racism? Can you explain to me what you're talking about? And usually what they're talking about is that they've heard somebody describe some action that Trump or the Republican has done that they're calling racist, and now what they're doing is simply echoing that, right? But I ask people all the time, so what are these racist policies that the Republicans have stood behind, right? And oh, by the way, you do understand that it was Republicans that for the vast majority of the Republic were the ones that were advocating civil rights laws be passed, the ones that stood for it. You do understand that the Civil Rights Bill, it was the vast majority of Republicans that actually voted for that. So I don't understand how all of a sudden they just overnight flipped and became racist. So help me to understand that. And I've done that for many years, and no one has ever explained that, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you there. I do the same thing, ask questions, and then, like, well, explain, show me. And nowadays you got your phone. I'm like, please pull it up.
Yeah.
Pull it up on your phone.
Well, wait. What they'll say they say Donald Trump is racist. I'll say, or Republican are racist. And I'll say, well, prove it. And they'll say, well, Google it.
Yeah. I'm like, you Google it.
You Google it.
The other thing too that I've also said is, even if they were, I don't care, because I'm not voting based off of a skin color or if I think someone likes me or not. I'm voting based off of the policies.
Thank you.
And one side's policies I cannot get with. The other side I can.
Yeah. That's and actually that is the correct statement, which is I don't really care whether somebody is racist or not. Right. I don't care, because number one, I'm one of those people that believe that anybody that thinks somebody else is racist, whether that means that, they're racist against you or you're racist against them, that's just pure poppycock. OK, what I care about is policy. What policies are going to be in the best interest of me, my family, and my community? That's it. Right, because I can call anybody a racist, as we've seen that happen. Right, they call people, and when you call somebody a racist, and then you can't answer the question, well, why they are racist, then you tell me instantly that you're attempting to just simply manipulate people based upon emotions, not actual fact, not on truth.
No, you're absolutely right there. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts? Check out the description box below. Go support what Michael is doing. If you would like to support the channel, obviously you could join the ARP family. You can buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. And as always, keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you guys next time. Peace.
We won't stop.